UrbanNationRadio.com, Mr. Brunch Bunch. We are in the building. I'm in the studio with the Armor Sports Truck.
Ubuntu.
I am because we are. That's what that means. The mad scientist. We have Monica Marie Jones.
MMJ.
As we call her. We have the comedian and activist Bill Hill in the building. My name is Poetic. And we are joined by the builder of the pyramids. Well, his namesake, anyway.
His grandson's great grandson.
Yes.
Michael Imhotep.
Yes. How you doing?
What's up, man?
Imhotep, everybody. Thanks for having me on once again.
So, of course, well, tell people what you do and give me sight and all that.
I'm with the African History Network. I'm president of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. And we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. So usually our show is on Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Blog Talk Radio Network. I was broadcasting last night. One of the reasons why I'm late today is got kind of a late start. And I do presentations, do research, a number of different things. And people can go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have a wide selection of DVD presentations there, a lot of free information also, and all 18 of my presentations are there as well. And our Facebook fan page is The African History Network, The African History Network. We have 216,000 followers on our Facebook fan page. So we post a lot of articles, a lot of powerful information there, a lot of information you won't see in other sources or other entities also. Cool.
So me and you talked on the phone, and
yes.
Of course, Ferguson, Missouri is a big, big issue and a big topic of discussions or whatever. And everybody's covering it, and so you said, "Well, let's discuss it." So I already knew that you coming at it from of course, a different aspect of it. I know you come back, put some historical facts probably in the place. But what is your take on it?
Well, you know, what's going on down there is very interesting, but it's a continuum. It's a continuum of a history of a not such a good relationship between the African American community and police officers, especially white police officers. Right. When you study the history of police forces, you see that the police forces have their origins with the slave catchers, who would patrol the roads, patrol the back roads, things like this for escaped slaves, runaway slaves, things of this nature. Oftentimes they're going to be Irish. When the Irish start coming to this country, a lot of times, and also what happens is that usually these were like the poor whites as well, low-level white population. What we see here going on in Ferguson is, to me, it seems like a real police cover-up going on.
Right.
You have a very small town. You have a town where the population is 67% African American, but the police force, you only have 53 officers on the police force, only 3 African American, but African Americans make up the majority of the population. You have a white mayor, all white city council except for one person, no African Americans on the school board, even though African Americans make up 80% of the school students. The school body is 80% African American. So what you have here are some very I think interesting dynamics, and it seems in many ways like, you know, something that you would see in Mississippi or Alabama in 1963.
Right.
But this is going on right now. Okay, so and then you have it seems like you have a police cover-up, and Chief Thomas Jackson, police chief for Ferguson, Missouri, has totally mishandled a lot of this regarding the public relations, regarding the releasing of the video of Michael Brown allegedly stealing or shoplifting cigars, and there's a dispute over whether or not he actually paid for them or not. What came out in the last 3 days is that no one who was employed by the store nor the store owner actually called the police about the altercation that was going on. It was a customer that called the police. YourBlackWorld.com has reported on this, and the attorney for the store owner has come out and said no one that worked for that store or owned the store called the police on this. So you have some very interesting things here. You have people trying to make up information.
But even if he, okay, say he did do it. Say he did.
Okay.
strong armed the store. Still, that's still no right for the police to shoot him.
Well,
even if he didn't have he didn't have a weapon.
Well, it's no right for them to shoot him, especially after there was distance between Officer Darren Wilson and Michael Brown, and he has his hands up. But Officer Darren Wilson, according to Chief Thomas Jackson, had no knowledge of the strong arm shoplifting or robbery in the first place.
Right.
So the stop had nothing to do with that.
Right. That should have never been shown. That's almost like what do you call it? Tampering with the jury.
Well, see, what happened was the Department of Justice did not want Ferguson, Missouri the police department to release that video, especially releasing it at the same time that they released the name of the police officer who shot and killed Michael Brown. Personally, I think that the police department was doing this out of spite, trying to get back at people. That's it. But when you have the Department of Justice telling you don't do this, and they said because it's going to incite people. It's going to incite riots.
See, when they do stuff like that, I think it's a federal charge. When the Justice Department, the federal people call you and say don't do it, and you do it anyway, that should be like a charge.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That should be like
I don't know if it's illegal, but they reacted very stupidly.
And look what happened. Look what happened in the following days after that.
They reacted very stupidly, and you can see the tension with the way they treated many of the protesters, even the peaceful protesters, because the majority of the protests have been peaceful. You've had some isolated rioting, you've had some isolated looting, things like this, but overall, the majority of the protests have been peaceful. But when you have police officers in riot gear, we have police officers pointing automatic weapons at people who are just peacefully protesting, things like this, then you are inciting this. And this goes to the mentality. This is even before the National Guard came in.
Right. This
was dealing with the Ferguson police force. This deals with the mentality of a lot of the people on that police force, which deals with the systemic problem that we're dealing with coming out of European white supremacy and racism.
So one of the questions that I have for you is, do you believe that there are two distinctly different tactics that law enforcement officials use when they are dealing with Caucasians and then when they're dealing with African Americans? The reason why I ask that is because here we showed a video of ranchers in Nevada.
Clive and Bundy.
I
talked about it on my show. Absolutely.
We talked about how one person was tased, but Clive and Bundy had over 200 armed guards,
M16
in addition to militia, who had loaded semi-automatic weapons,
rifles, assault rifles,
automatic pistols, and no tear gas was administered, no shots fired, one person tased.
You know, I talked about this on my show, and I posted an article on my Facebook fan page that showed a contrast. They pointed semi-automatic weapons at federal agents.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
They pointed at federal agents. Nobody was shot. No tear gas thrown, no slingshots, no rocks thrown, no rubber bullets, no charges against them. Okay, and
they're just a little upset.
But what happens is you know, you have to understand European white supremacy and racism, what it is and how it works. And as Dr. Francis Cress Welch and Dr. Nellie Fuller teaches, if you do not understand European white supremacy and racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you think that you understand will totally confuse you.
That's right.
Okay.
That's true.
So what you have is you have a European controlled media, you have the police forces that are predominantly European American, white American, and the way that their concept, the way that their the way they think of African Americans has been largely shaped by the media. Okay. So for instance, when you look, you know, the Huffington Post Black Voices had an interesting article August 18th, 2014, which talked about how it's entitled, "When the Media Treats White Suspects and Killers Better Than Black Victims."
True.
When the media treats white suspects and killers better than black victims. I posted this on our Facebook fan page, The African History
George
Network.
Zimmerman.
I talked about this on our show. So they go through and break down, they go through and show you numerous headlines from different news sources and they show you how white suspects, oftentimes, people react in surprise that this white suspect became a mass murderer. You know,
like the cat in Denver.
You know, Alabama suspect, brilliant, but social misfit. Police slaying Lakeland teen had been, let's see, Oregon school shooting suspect fascinated with guns, but was a devoted Mormon, his friends say. Now, this is how they treat white suspects. If this had been an African-American suspect, they would have said he would have been obsessed with guns, not fascinated with guns.
Obsessed.
You know, Ohio Santa Barbara shooting suspect was soft-spoken, polite, and gentleman, ex-principal says. So oftentimes they'll go out of their way to show that how this is out of character for this white person, oftentimes white males, to shoot. But when it's an African-American shooting victim, oftentimes, when it's an African-American victim, oftentimes they're blamed for being a victim, or they'll bring out other things. So Trayvon Martin was suspended 3 times from school, or Montgomery, latest homicide victim, had history of narcotic abuse, tangles with the law. Okay, Ohio shooting suspect T.J. Lane deputy killed Marine out of fear for children's safety, officials say. You know, so it's a different way, but this comes out of the way the media shapes the way we think about African people based upon the depictions that we see in the media. So this is why shows like
even our own media people do it though. Cause we seen
Huel Perkins
the other day. They had them side by side.
That's Fox.
Yeah, but he's still a black man. He can he try to consider himself a black man. But they show a side by side of Mike Brown, one in his graduation, high school graduation uniform, and the other one in him in some sweatpants, just basically doing the peace sign. And Huel Perkins said, "Well, on this side you have a student and blah blah blah, and on this side he looks like a thug." I'm like, he's like a thug, Really? How he like a thug?
Well, you know the gangsters who stole people's homes dressed like Huel Perkins.
They are
right. The bankers, you mean?
The bankers, these gangsters.
Yeah, I mean,
that stole people's. So
the real gangsters, period. Al Capone wore the best suits.
Yeah, right. Well, not just
the mafia, period.
Not just them, but the people who are behind
the
politicians.
The politicians.
The Koch brothers. Alec. Corrections Corporation of America. Okay, so you know,
or Joseph Kennedy. How about that?
Oh yeah, the bootleggers. This.
Let's not ever forget that the people that ran and Adolphus Bush and all of them people that ran this country and sold weapons to the Nazis and all of that. Yeah, they all wore suits and they all are your presidents.
And then what happens is because of the negative images of African Americans that we see in the media and the misinformation that's put out coming out of European white supremacy and racism, then many of us become a target for stop and frisk. We become a target for being stopped by the police, oftentimes for no reason. So, you know, this article from theatlantic.com, how neuroscience reinforces racist drug policy. How neuroscience reinforces racist drug policy. They talk about some of the history of the marijuana laws in America, and how marijuana was legal in this country up until 1937. And it was Harry J. Anslinger, who was the director of the National Narcotics Commission, Federal Narcotics Commission, who was instrumental in putting out propaganda to condition people's minds to look at marijuana as something that Negroes used, and Filipinos and Hispanics and things like this.
And Native Americans.
So today, according to the ACLU, you know, nearly half of drug arrests in 2012 were for marijuana. That's 750,000 drug arrests. Almost half of those arrests were for possession alone. Almost $4 billion is spent annually on the arrest, prosecution, and incarceration of marijuana offenders. Now, in large cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York City, things like this, African Americans are 7 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession, but we have the same usage rates of marijuana as whites. Now, why is this? This is because of the way the minds of people are shaped through the television, and you have these people on the police force who will target African Americans for things like marijuana, things of this nature. So this is one of the main reasons why we make up a disproportionate amount of people in the prison industrial complex. Okay, because we are targeted, whereas white people use drugs, We have the same usage rates for marijuana, for instance, but we're targeted and arrested 7 times. We're 7 times more likely to be arrested for possession of marijuana.
One of the things that I mentioned the other day was, it's funny how even our caricatures of our entertainment, our entertainers, when you look at the African Americans, you look at Snoop Dogg is often portrayed as, just being a high pothead, all of these things. But you never hear Willie Nelson talked about like this. But they got whole songs called "I'll Never Smoke Weed with Willie Again." This is the song title. Like,
Well, what happens is for the most part, you probably find the highest proliferation of talk about drug usage in our music. It's like that on purpose. It's been infused in our music. Yes, you'll have certain songs from other artists, things like this, but you find a high proliferation of it in hip-hop, okay, commercialized hip-hop. Well, the reason why is that they put it in hip-hop to feed this to the youth so that they will utilize it so that they can then become criminalized.
Right.
When I was on before, we talked about how the Vanguard Group, Inc. is the largest shareholder in Corrections Corporation of America. Corrections Corporation of America is the largest owner and operator of privatized prisons in the country. A few days ago, I checked their stock is trading at $35 a share. Their stock exchange symbol is CWX. The Vanguard Group, Inc. owns 15,586,000 shares of Corrections Corporation of America, valued at $488 million approximately. Now, they are also the number 3 shareholder in Viacom and Time Warner. Okay, Viacom and Time Warner, once again, are two, well, they're into everything. They're multinational corporations. Viacom owns BET, VH1, and MTV. They control about 80% of the music videos that we see on TV. And Warner Brothers makes movies. They do all types of things.
Well, where are these damn entertainers? They don't know this stuff? The entertainers don't know this?
Well, here's the thing. You have a lot of them who don't understand how deep this is, but you have some of them who, because Wise Intelligent explained this, and I play this on my show sometimes, and it's on YouTube. This is from 2009 Savior's Day conference with the Nation of Islam, and it was a workshop entitled The Influence of Islam on Hip-Hop. And people can go on YouTube and check this out, Wise Intelligent Savior's Day 2009. Check this out for yourself. Now, Wise Intelligent is a member of the Poor Righteous Teachers. The biggest hit was Rock This Funky Joint back in 1991. He's a conscious hip-hop artist. He has songs like The Globe Holders. And he talked about how a lot of these young brothers and sisters are not going to they're not going to refuse to say the N-word in music. They're not going to refuse to do different things because he said they'll take a package of crack from one corner to another corner for $200. So they're not going to turn down $500,000 to do this. But you have others who, because there's a lack of diversity, we don't see those choices. We don't see those the X-Clan, Public Enemy, the Brand Nubians, Poor Righteous Teachers in mainstream media. A lot of them don't see that choice. Okay, and he talked about how he grew up in poverty. And
even Common and Most Def, them kind of don't
but
give them no run.
But even with those cats though, like even as an artist, like this is something I experienced as an artist myself. It's so bad that even our people that are in the neighborhood, they won't push you as a common artist because they're saying, "Oh, you ain't gonna make it." Right. Instead of just pushing you, instead of just coming out, instead of just pushing, seeing what happens, it's like that's not gonna happen. So that's what happened.
Well, see, what I think what has to happen, right now, is correct wrong behavior. So we have to get this information to our people to understand how this is set up, how this music is put out to destroy it, and we have to. We see. Over time, we've developed an appetite for garbage.
For garbage, yeah.
So now we justify the garbage by saying, well, people don't want the healthy food, they want the crack down.
You know what's so deep about that is in a book called A Hero Ain't Nothing But a Sandwich. The young man was so addicted to heroin, but it was garbage heroin, that when he finally got pure heroin, it killed him. And so it is with us. You have so many people that are used to to eating Coney Islands all the time. Used to hearing garbage all the time.
Right.
That when they get a salmon steak, they don't like the taste of it. It don't taste regular to them. It don't taste like a Coney. This can't be good for me. I don't like it. They don't want to eat their vegetables. It's not healthy to them. They hear something righteous for themselves. They don't want to receive it. And I just think that, could you speak on some of the programming and some of the some of the frequencies that they are using, because that plays a big part into the lower vibrations of the music that is being accepted.
Well, a lot of the programming comes from the images that we see, like Nicki Minaj's new video Anaconda, things like this. So once again, I don't know if they've shown this on BET or not, but if you just look at overall a lot of the videos that you see on BET, say 106 in Park, BET owned by Viacom, you know, once again, what happens is you have programming coming through the music videos, and our youth watch the music videos over and over again, leaves an impression in their mind, but also they're hearing the music, so this goes into the subconscious, and what's being marketed to them, conspicuous consumption of alcohol. You're showing this to youth who many of the viewing audience aren't even old enough to drink alcohol. Now, just because you blur out the label does not mean that they don't know what this is, okay? So, you know, we have to understand that we are at war. One of the most important things that you can have in war is propaganda.
Yes.
Okay? So a lot of this is propaganda that's being fed to us to precondition our youth to exhibit certain behaviors, to exhibit behaviors that will allow them to become criminalized, things of this nature, and to continue to perpetuate the images that we see promoted on Fox News, things like this. So, you know, this is why, you know, in the documentary Hidden Colors 2, The Triumph of Melanin, Dr. Claude Anderson talked about how we, number one, have to employ ourselves. We have to become the number one employer of our own people. But you take the money that you make from that and you buy radio stations, TV stations, newspapers, so you can communicate with your people, and so you can push the correct images of your people also to offset what's going on. You know, right now we only own about 80, you know, terrestrial radio stations, 80, 85 terrestrial 80 radio stations, something like that. So these are things that we really have to understand. But first and foremost, we have to understand that we are at war. Many people today listening to hip hop, even some of the adults listening to hip hop, you know, they may be 25 or something like that, and have children. Many of them don't know what real hip hop is.
Right.
Going back to Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five with the message. Going back to, you know, Run DMC. You know,
it's just conscious poetry with music.
Yeah, many of them don't understand this and how this thing flipped and why it flipped. Okay, so this is important information that we really have to get out to people to change, you know, to really change their mindset and change their behavior. You know, whatever is disseminated becomes imitated. Okay, and if you go back and you start looking at the infusion of illegal drugs, especially marijuana, you look at Dr. Dre's biggest selling album was The Chronic.
Right.
The Chronic. Okay, and you start seeing this shift. You start seeing it infused, really infused into the music. This was not by accident. This was by design. Okay, and they don't do it for the most part to other people's music. Okay, they do it to our music.
I say all the time
because they're using this to destroy us. If you want to destroy a nation, you do it through the music, because the music hits the youth first.
Yes, and I say all the time, if Garth Brooks had came out with a song that said, "I'm gonna kill every cowboy that has on a red sash," the FCC would pull him off the shelf that day. They would. I mean, because we're the only people that are allowed to kill ourselves in music.
Right. Yeah, we're the only people that are allowed to put out negative information, use racial epithets about ourselves. You know, if 50 Cent or Snoop, if they wanted to put out a song talking about the LGBT community or something like that negatively, the record companies, the executives would not allow them to do it, because they respect that. When Ice-T in about early 90s had his song Cop Killer with his heavy metal group Body Count, they pulled those songs, they pulled those CDs off the shelf. When the police unions across the country rose up, okay, he was with Time Warner back at that time, or Warner Brothers, Time Warner, they shut down his project, okay? when Michael Jackson had his song
They Don't Care
About Us, okay, and he said,
do me, sue me, kick me, kike me.
Yeah, kick me, kike me, all right? The record, the company at the time, I think it was Sony. The company at the time, they pulled all the CDs off the shelf, removed those lines, and put them back on the shelf. Why? Because the Anti-Defamation League and things like this were outraged about it. And this was one song.
Yeah.
This was just one song. Okay? And he didn't mean anything negatively by it. He was talking about the way he had been treated. He wasn't trying to insult people, anything like this. I have articles on what the Anti-Defamation League was saying and things like this. So it's very clear that other people are respected in music, and we're the only ones who could be disrespected. So this is why we have to change this. This is why, you know, we have to take a page from of the book that happened when the Sandy Hook shooting happened.
Yes.
I have articles on this from Huffington Post. People can email me at info@africanhistorynetwork.com if you want this information. info@africanhistorynetwork.com. You had teachers unions starting in California and in other cities. They started doing research on where their pension dollars were invested.
Yes.
And they found that one of the companies that their pension dollars were invested with was a venture capitalist company called Cerberus.
I actually read that.
Yeah. Called Cerberus. Cerberus had major stake in the company that made the Bushmaster AR-15 assault rifle.
Yes.
That was used in the Sandy Hook shooting.
Yes.
They said, pull our funds out of this company. They said, pull our funds out of this company. Cerberus said, wait a second, we'll put that company up for sale. This is what happened. I've been trying to find out, you know, what exactly happened after that. But what's very interesting, and other unions got involved in this. Now, this was something Reverend Al Sharpton was talking about and involved in before he got his show on MSNBC. I don't know what happened after that, but he had a good idea. He said, you can't try to fight against the radio stations because the stations don't make this music. He said, you have to cut it off at the source. So he had a campaign where he was encouraging different groups and things like this to find out where your pension fund dollars are invested, where your 401k dollars are invested. If they're invested in these record companies, these conglomerates, things like this, take it out to send a clear message to them that we're not going to tolerate this music, okay? So people respond to economics and violence. So you have to speak to people in a language that they understand. Now, he had a good campaign. I don't know what happened with this, but very interestingly, Cerberus, I did research on that name. That comes from Greek mythology. In Greek mythology, and also they have Cerberus in the latest Hercules movie with The Rock.
Yes.
Cerberus,
the demon dog,
is a three-headed dog with a serpent's tail that guards the gates of
hell.
That's what Cerberus is. It's a three-headed dog. It's a three-headed dog with a serpent's tail that guards the gates of hell.
Yes.
Okay, so why would you name your company Cerberus? This is what I don't understand. Unless
because you're trying to send a message. They know exactly why they're naming it this. So because they're devilish, man. And you know what? We are now with Michael Imhotep, who is a historian and an activist. And the Brunch Bunch usually goes from 8 to 12, but usually we go to the ish. We are now in the ish. So, Brother Imhotep,
yes, sir.
We will have to continue this conversation,
yes, sir.
Next week.
Okay.
So can we have you back next week?
Yeah.
We'll come up with a time.
Yeah, we'll
set up a time so we can really because what I want to do, we've been showing on my own, man. Here at Urban Nation Radio, what I've been doing is I've been taking parts of Hidden Colors.
Okay.
I've been taking different parts of teachings on blacks in the Bible using the actual King James Version and the Quran to show blacks not only in the Bible but in the Quran in Islam or whatever, because many people just don't see ourselves as being important but I say
we were in that area.
This is our area though.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
But the areas that are talked about in the Bible, we were already in.
And that's so funny because blacks built Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. The Jebusites, which it was called Jebus before it was Jerusalem. A lot of these different things, and so semantics are very important. So what I want to do is I would like to show some of these documentaries with you, set up some times, and you know, kind of do like mystery science theater back in the day. Stop, pause, talk about what we're seeing, or even talk over it, so that you can give a layman's term. Because a lot of our people, even if we show it, you have the ability to be able to talk to the Detroiter, you know, or the regular person, you know. So we want to do that, and please give everybody your contact information.
People can go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have a wide selection of DVDs there. And it connects you to our YouTube channel, where we have almost 600 video clips on our YouTube channel. We also have a recommended book list on our website, and a lot of solutions that we can start implementing today on our website as well. You can email me at info@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, info@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can call me at 313-462-0003, 313-462-0003, and then also follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. Actually tomorrow, you know, I'll be at the Hub Detroit with Just a Little Love on Iron Street, right off of Jefferson, 12 noon to 9 p.m. We'll have that on our
with Miss Sky Covington.
Yeah, Sky Covington.
Yes, we have her on our show.
Everett, yes.
Another one of my musical aunties.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have that information on our Facebook fan page, and we'll have it on our website today also.
Well, thank you, brother, for coming out.
Thanks for having me on, man. Sorry I was late, brother.
No, it's all good, man, because you're right on time.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And you came with some positive information, and that's what we're about, man, bridging the gap and talking to everybody. Huh? I gotta go. So we got to close, man. UrbanNationRadio.com is the Brunch Bunch. We out.
All right, peace. Hope that.
Yeah.